Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Chapter 4, Shattered Ambition. Unexpected Outcome. Sylvia, who had been fighting Leon, was having a difficult time. Leon was her student, but he had a talent that Sylvia recognized. Even when he had been assimilated into the spirit of light and was active as a chosen hero, his skill with the sword was on par with Sylvia. Moreover, he now had the ultimate skill, Purity King, Metatron, and was one of the demon lords as an unparalleled swordsman. When Leon got serious, he would unleash a light-speed slash. Although he did not actually reach the speed of light, it was called as such because his sword line would shine like a flash of light. And the power of the ultimate skill, Purity King, Metatron, turned it into something quite vicious. It is the ultimate power of the holy attribute. It is an extraordinary skill that gives one the ability to freely manipulate the most powerful, holy magic, disintegration. By controlling the Purity King, Metatron, Leon deployed spear particles around his body and sword, turning himself into an incarnation of destruction, disintegrating everything he touches. Leon was undefeated with the combination of his ultra-fast swordsmanship and the power of absolute destruction. Sylvia was no slouch either. Her skill, Thunder King, Indra, was an ability to control lightning, the strongest power in nature. The power of her lightning strikes was perfect, but the true essence of Thunder King, Indra, light elsewhere. Sylvia had turned her own body into a lightning strike, enabling herself to attack at divine speeds. For this reason, Sylvia was feared as the Thunder Emperor since ancient times. It was precisely because of this that Sylvia was able to deal with Leon's attacks. She changed her Vajra to suit her needs, and fought fluidly with her sword. Sylvia, who had maintained her reputation as a master in this way, inwardly felt a sense of crisis. I knew you were strong, but I didn't expect you to have grown so much. I'm happy to see my students grow, but it also depends on the time and place. Those were her true feelings. And the reason for her sense of crisis came from the fact that she felt Leon was not yet serious. As his master, Sylvia knew that Leon had a weakness. Leon was too naive. If there were allies nearby, he would not fight with his full strength. Such kindness was a virtue, but on the battlefield, it was only an opening. The ideal chosen hero was one whose desire to protect became power, but that was only in fairy tales. In real life, that was just a bit too naive. Sylvia knew. Sylvia knew that this city had been created by orphans, and oppressed magians saved by Leon. Almesia had also provided financial support, but Sylvia was the one who helped establish the city. He was often misunderstood because of his deceitful words and actions, but the real Leon was truly a kind man. When a girl named Shizu went out of control and sacrificed her friends, he was heartbroken and lamented that it was his fault. He left her in the care of the chosen hero of that time, thinking that it would be better for her to live in the human world than to be raised by a demon lord like himself. She knew that he had been watching over the girl and, as a result, had been the first to detect the existence of demon lord Ramur. It was just a coincidence that Elin and the others had become acquainted with the girl. Shizu is Awa, but Sylvia, through Almesia's connections, had tightened her surveillance even more than Demon Lord Leon. That's why she had been frustrated by the reality of multiple misunderstandings, and dismayed by the awkwardness of her apprentice. However, she did not meddle unnecessarily. Due to Leon's unlucky nature, she judged that doing would only lead to complications. It was frustrating, but she could only watch over him. But this time, he had finally asked her for help. That's why she came to him, hoping to respond to his request, but the situation was very unfavorable. There was one reason for this. Leon's weakness had disappeared. Leon's kindness had always prevented him from being serious, but now that Michael's dominance took precedence over everything else, he would use his skill to the fullest under the right circumstances. The dreaded Purity King, Metatron. Leon always had it under control, using it with minimal power. However, the true nature, the Purity King, Metatron, is that it was a power specialized for mass annihilation. This was also the case with the Thunder King, Indra, so Sylvia's sense of crisis was very great. If Leon Khan were to get serious, what would happen if Leon activated his power without caring about the damage to his surroundings? If Leon got serious, this country would be annihilated. Sylvia was determined not to let that happen. A fierce sword fight ensued, and the battle continued back and forth. In the aftermath of ultra-high-speed combat, the audience hall was being destroyed to the utmost limit. Worst of all, the magic transfer circle had been destroyed. Even though that magic circle had been made of magisteel and was extremely durable, Leon's stray bullets had destroyed it. It was no longer usable. Not only would she be unable to escape, but Rimuru and the others would not be able to come. Sylvia felt sorry for herself, but Leon was not a man who she could fight while protecting something, so she gave up. Alris and Claude were not able to help Sylvia either. Well, what a terrifying battle. I can't even see it. I can't even tell with my own eyes who is in the lead. Don't worry. I know it sounds strange, but I am the same, Claude Dono. I thought I could keep up with the real Leon Sama, but it seems that I've been conceited. That's true. Although they didn't know Sylvia's true identity, they knew that she was no ordinary person. However, when they saw that Sylvia was more powerful than they had imagined, they could not help but be amazed. The same could be said for Tyr and Footman. Oh man, that Leon guy is even stronger than I thought. Ha ho ho. It would be too difficult to interrupt that fight. So then, what can we do? Yeah. Then we'll just have to hunt down this small fry. The two clapped their hands together. Then they turned their sights on Alris and Claude. Damn, they've set their sights on us. Even if it's just one, let's show them the pride of a knight. It's suicidal. However, it's the only thing we can do here. Alris and Claude had made up their minds. As the proud leaders and instructors of the Magic Knights, they had decided on the place of their death. Their lives were gravely in danger, but then suddenly, a voice rang out. Fall back, Tyr, Footman. Kigali had come to her senses just in time, and Alris and Claude were lucky to survive the crisis. Feldway was confused. Something incredible had just happened, right in front of his eyes. For tens of thousands of years, nothing had ever gone wrong with his plans. But lately, everything had been falling apart. It all started with Cornu's blunder. The loss of the army had been unthinkable. The underworld gate leading to the world in question had been closed, and the details still remained unknown. The next shock was the return of Valgrand. Having been banished to the other side of the world, Valgrand was supposed to be left to disappear in the world beyond. However, she somehow returned to the Cardinal world, and on top of that, had completely annihilated Cornu. It was an unthinkable event. However, he had had no choice but to admit that it was the reality. That is why this time, he made a plan for the perfect situation. And yet, here they were. Not only had Yuki, who was supposed to be under his complete control, regained his freedom, but even Kigali, who received an angelic skill, had come to her senses. What did you do? How did you escape the Regalia Dominion? Feldway asked Yuki in a voice that sounded as if it was coming from the depths of hell. He wasn't expecting an answer, but it was Yuki. He smirked and replied in an agitating manner. It's simple. I'm a genius, and I felt that this Regalia Dominion thing was dangerous, so I substituted with a strange will that was growing inside of me. A strange will, you say? Perhaps it is the ego of the ultimate skill greedy king, Mammon, that I had acquired. The greed instinct was something I took from Maribel. It was a little creepy, so I didn't trust it. He didn't trust the greedy king, Mammon, even though he had used it a lot. This cautiousness was probably the reason why Yuki was Yuki. I had a hard time, Yuki continued. I observed the ego of the dominated greedy king, Mammon, and figured out how it worked. It took longer than I expected, but it looks like I got it right at the worst possible time, so you'll have to excuse me. He even winked at Lapis and the others. This had all been a strategy. Yuki had been observing the situation while he was being manipulated, and had come to the conclusion that he could not beat Feldway. Of course, the future was a different story. He believed that, if he continued to get stronger, he would eventually be able to compete with him someday. The reason was that Yuki's growth rate was extraordinary, though not as abnormal as Rimuru's. Therefore, he began to stir things up now. It would be a great success if he could convince Feldway and the others that he had enough time to get them to retreat. In the worst case, he wanted to at least buy time until Rimuru and the others came to support him. He thought that he could achieve that goal just by continuing the conversation. Feldway was upset by Yuki's attitude, but his thoughts were calm. He judged the authenticity of Yuki's words and saw that they were not lies. You've seen through Michael Sama's skill, huh? There's no way a mere mortal could have done that. It's dangerous. This guy is too dangerous. Feldway narrowed his eyes and identified Yuki as an enemy. That is why he decided to reveal his hidden hand. I would have liked to keep it under wraps until the last minute, but it looks like there is no other choice. I have to deal with Yuki here and now, rather than letting him find out what the traitor is up to. Feldway saw Yuki as a dangerous foe. Of course, it was not because he was agitated. He just could not tolerate Yuki's skill, the skill steal from the greedy king, Mammon. If this was left unchecked, not only Leon, but also the others might be freed from Michael's control. Now that he had activated the ultimate dominion, the trust between them was as good as lost. Therefore, even if it was a small probability, he judged it to be an unacceptable risk. As expected of Yuki-sama. Well, I guess. It's the boss after all. You're a man who just can't be taken down. Well, not really. Right. It's almost like we won now. Ha ho ho. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure we've got the upper hand. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but I think we've got a little cushion space now. Feldway glared at Yuki's group with a scathing look. Hey, you. I have to ask, can you take away Leon Kun's skill too? Sylvia and Leon, who had been sword fighting without regard to the changing situation, paused for a moment to distance themselves. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Sylvia asked Yuki. Although they did not have time to exchange greetings, Yuki answered with a friendly smile. Unfortunately, I can't right now. I don't have the luxury to accept. That's too bad. I'll leave you to it then, but don't expect me to help you, okay? You got it. In the meantime, you should take care of Leon. Got it too. I'm going to show him how serious I am as his master. Sylvia said her words and resumed her sword fight with Leon. Yuki focused all of his attention on Feldway, knowing that he could count on her. What he had said earlier about not being able to take away the skill was true. The current Yuki had just dropped the Domination King, Melchizedek, from Kigali. There was no way he could take away another skill before he had finished analyzing it. More importantly, there was a difference between skills that were self-created and skills that were given. In Kigali's case, since the skill was given to her, it was not stable and thus easier to steal. There was a high possibility that the skills rooted in oneself could not be taken, even if Yuki was in perfect condition. With the current Leon, his ego was being manipulated. There might be a chance, but in any case, it was impossible for now. If he explained that, it would only put him at a disadvantage, so Yuki muddled his words at the end. Either way, the enemy will have no choice but to doubt my words. Yuki thinks. If it were him, he wouldn't believe in the enemy's words. In other words, even if Yuki said he couldn't, Feldway had no choice but to act as if there was still a possibility of losing his skills. That was Yuki's tactic of exaggerating himself. Now, the enemy could not move carelessly. If the stalemate continued, the tactical victory goal would have been achieved. However, it was at this point that Feldway began to laugh. Fufufu, good grief. I'm going to have to deal with you here, after all. Hearing that chilling voice, Yuki realized that his plan had gone awry. Did I stir things up too much? No, even if he gets serious here, we should be able to withstand it. Even if he couldn't take on him alone, there were 5 of them here. Sylvia had Leon under control. So then, Yuki and the others could all take on Feldway. However, a great miscalculation occurred here. Feldway's trump card came into play in a way that Yuki could never have imagined. Kill the kid, wake up, Jahal. Feldway ordered. Yuki could not read his intentions. Leon had his hands full with Sylvia, so he was unable to comply with the order. If someone moved, it would be Feldway himself. What is? A moment's hesitation would reveal the outcome before an answer could be given. So, you called for me, Feldway. I owe you a debt, but it's not nice to be treated like this all the time. After feeling a burning pain in his chest, the voice reached Yuki's ears. Yuki coughed up blood, and when he looked down at his chest, he saw a hideous arm growing out of it. Footman, what are you doing? Kigali shouted, and Footman turned around in response to her voice. Pulling his arm out of Yuki's chest, he sneered evilly. And then he replied. Shut up, Kazarian. What are you doing, throwing away the name and appearance that I gave you? He spoke with a fluency that was unlike the usual Footman. And that evil presence had grown much larger than before. Shit, this is. Yuki muttered and fell to his knees. As a saint, Yuki had complete control over his body as a spiritual life form. That's why he was able to stop the blood flow by his own will, but the damage he suffered was not light. A normal person would have died instantly. Ha, so you're still alive, you stubborn piece of trash. Don't bother me anymore. Footman said so, and kicked the dying Yuki away. The extraordinary force of Footman's kick had the destructive power to disable Yuki with just one blow. Gwa. Yuki-sama. Kigali and Tyr went to help Yuki, and Lapis stood in front of Footman. Who the hell are you? Who am I, huh? What kind of lowly scum are you that you don't even know this great magician? Yes, that man was not Footman. The supposedly destroyed great magician, also known as Jahal. The great magician, is it Jahal by any chance? While concentrating on Leon, Sylvia maintained a broad perspective and analyzed the battle situation. Naturally, she was also listening carefully to the conversation and reacted to the words great magician. So, you're Sylvia, huh? Indeed. I am Jahi. At Jahal's declaration, the entire place became tense. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.